So what's going on, Truly Legacy Life? Hope you guys are having a great day. I am as well. I'm excited to be able to talk to you guys today. The main reason I'm excited to talk to you is because today in my life and in my wife's life and in our whole entire family's life is a very special day. And we're going to talk about journaling. We're going to talk about values. We're going to talk about, stories that are important to your family. So let's jump into that right now. Okay. So what's so special about today? Well, today marks the day on July the 13th, 1998. 1998. Don't ask me to do the math on that right now. I think that's 28 years ago. Okay. Please forgive me if I'm incorrect. Don't have to comment down below or anything like that. But guys, I am so excited about this day because today was the day that I hugged my wife for the very first time over in England. And my wife, according to her, said that the Lord showed her a vision on the other side of my shoulder where she was looking, and basically said that God took his handwriting and wrote on like a chalkboard that I was going to be the man she was going to marry. Yeah. Now, that's a pretty significant thing right there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, thankfully, she didn't tell me. Because if she had told me, I probably said, yeah, right, that you told me, or the Lord told you that I was supposed to marry you. That's really weird. Whatever. See you later. Have a great time in Indiana. But that's not what happened. What took place is she kept that to herself. Now, I knew she liked me enough, but she didn't tell me what the Lord had revealed to her, thankfully. Flash forward 2 years to the year of 2000. My wife happened to be on a mission project down in Myrtle Beach, just so happens. We won't go into that story right there. But Amy actually happened to be down on a mission trip in Myrtle Beach, where I went to school at Coastal Carolina University. I was home. I was still in school and doing some things during the summer, and she was there. Well, it was right around my senior year, and I felt led to actually know that she was the one. Yeah. All lights, all arrows, all everything were pointing to that Amy J. Ellis was the woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Now, because it was during July or getting ready to be July, I wanted to do something special, and I wanted to kind of figure this out as far as being able to make that proposal kind of special. So I got an idea of actually doing a scavenger hunt without her knowing it. And there was a lot of people involved. Her mission trip leader was involved. Another young lady was involved with that. We actually recorded the whole entire proposal, from ducks swimming alongside of her car because the actual rain that had fallen in Myrtle Beach was 11 inches in one day. Yeah, wild stuff. Where I had actually thought about canceling the engagement proposal because of the rain, and coming to find out that on the very south side of Myrtle Beach, where the actual proposal was happening, it hadn't rained a drop the entire day in Murrells Inlet. Well, and I'm going to all these details for you. But the thing was, guys, is that I went through with it on July the 13th, 2000. Yeah. July 13th, 2000 was the day I dropped the knee and asked Amy if she would take second place in my life for the rest of her life. And she said yes. And then I asked her if she would marry me, and she said yes. Because that was always going to be my big criteria, is that, hey, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is numero uno. Nobody's touching that spot. But Amy was willing to take second place. Now, here's kind of how this kind of happened to where that I want to bring in journaling, okay, and documenting your story. Here's a quote from you, actually from Jim Rohn: "A life worth living is a life worth recording." And I'm going to tie this back to legacy here in just a little bit, okay? So Tyler had actually been encouraged. I might have read this in a book, or I might have been just encouraged since I was going on this mission trip in 1998 to actually write down and journal out this event that was going to happen. I still have the book, the journal somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I just know it's somewhere in my, buried in some kind of box that I have. I was actually taking a little bit of time to try to find it. Well, didn't find it. Well, I journaled that day that I hugged Amy. Now, again, remember, I didn't know the Lord spoke to her whenever I hugged her, but I wrote down later that evening, and all I was doing with my journaling was I would write the date and the time and the where I was at, and I would just fill up the one page. I didn't try to make it 2 pages or 3 pages or write endlessly. My handwriting was not that great, but I still wrote out all the way. Now, I remember down at the very bottom, I said, "Oh, and by the way, I did hug Amy Ellis today in the park, which the gardens we actually passed through," which was kind of cool. And when I was thinking about my proposal, I actually could go back and I found that journal and I found the date that she had gotten told by the Lord, because actually I found out later as I was getting to know her more and I was thinking about marrying her, that guess what? Hey, the Lord spoke to me and said, I'm the one supposed to be married. You and I are going to get married. Well, needless to say, I said July 13th is the perfect date, and it worked out. Everything kind of worked out to where that I could drop the knee on that day, and it was a special moment that day. So I bring in all that to say, because I was listening to a podcast actually the other day about a gentleman that said, you know, if I was getting ready to pass away right now, this is what he said: if I'm getting ready to pass away right now, I honestly, the money that I might be able to leave behind would be fine. But what I would want my family to treasure the most, or the greatest treasure that I would want them to have, are all of my journals. And, gang, I can tell you that, journaling and having a journal and documenting your story is actually so important, so that your loved ones can actually go back and relive those moments that you had and bring them forward into their own life and be able to read about your life and be able to understand, where they came from. How cool is that? How cool would that be for them to be able to pick up a journal that you might have had many years ago and talk about where you were at, or what your thoughts were at that time in your life at, 48 years old. That's important. Now, here's another thing that took place actually this summer. So we made it a mission to actually determine what our McCart values are. What does the McCarts want to be known for? And so we had several car rides going up to Indiana this summer, and I only took 30 minutes. Lo and behold, if I would have took more than that, I think my kids would have went off. But I took 30 minutes during the car ride, and I asked them questions about, hey, what do we want to be known for? Or what do people say about us? And we actually wrote those things down. Amy actually took notes. I even had my Plod app and my device Plod. Here, I actually want to show you what that is. This little device right here, where I was actually able to record several of our conversations and being able to document that. Because again, I want to be able to bring all that forward in the future so that they can remember what we talked about, what we discussed, how it unfolded, what Tyler Jr. said, what Trinity say, what did Taylor say, what did Timothy say, how do we bring our values together so that, guess what, whenever my great grandkids have a family meeting, they can go back to those archives of some of those conversations that we had early on and learn about that and really even help their own family out with talking about that. So I guess what my heart is on this special day is, if you have a life worth living, then record it. Record it. You can do that in pictures. You can do it on an audio. You can do that on video. You can do that on a journal if you need to. I mean, I've got this remarkable app. This has been a great thing for me. But it is worth part of your legacy to have things documented. Don't discount that, guys. I mean, hence Moses, here's where all this kind of ties in biblically. Moses took the time during the 40 years that they were in the desert leading up to them going into the promised land, where Moses wrote down all those stories in the book of Genesis, in the beginning of Exodus, and then wrote all those laws down inside there, and then even went back and wrote down and rehearsed everything that the children of Israel needed to have in the book of Deuteronomy. Because that's what the book of Deuteronomy is. Actually, it's Moses re-preaching and retelling all the stories to that generation that was 20 years and younger whenever they first were going to go into the promised land in Numbers 13, but they didn't. So that whole generation had fallen away, so they needed to remember. And he was able to document all that, so that generation was able to have the 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, for them to have something to guide them through that whole process. Gang, I'm just encouraging you to take your legacy and be intentional about it and record what you have. Document your family's legacy, because it is worth it long term. So, truly legacy life. Know that you're blessed, you're highly favored, you're empowered to prosper, you walk in divine health, the spirit of breakthroughs upon you, and gang, will catch you on the other side.